Welcome everyone to the lecture number 15. Okay, so we have already discussed what is the separation of power and what is a doctrine of checks and balances. Okay, now with concept to the India there is in India there is no separation of power between legislature and executive, but we'll see how this actually works. In India there is no separation of power between legislature and executive. Okay, how these things work, we'll proceed ahead. Okay, in USA there is a presidential form of democracy. Okay, in USA they have presidential form of democracy, presidential form of democracy. Okay, but in India what we have parliament. It's not like a presidential form of democracy. We have two head for of the country. One will be our nominal head and another will be our real head. Okay, and who is our nominal head? Nominal head is your president and real head is your prime minister. How actually work? Sanction is required by the president only, but president takes the advice of the prime minister and his council of ministers. Thus real head is your prime minister and the prominent head is your president. Okay, now through article 50 there shall be a separation of power between executive and judiciary. There is no separation of power between legislature and executive. Okay, but through article 50, I'm talking about executive and judiciary, not executive and legislature. Through article 50 there is a separation of power. There is a separation of power between your executive and judiciary, between executive and judiciary. Okay, now how it is works. So in 1772 we'll give example like how this dual role comes into play. So in 1772 there was district collector post was there. Like in 1772 there was one district collector post. Okay, and there was a dual role of the district collector. It was a dual role. One as a collection he used to act as a executive. Okay, and as magistrate the same person was act as a judicial. So now here the same power is vested within the one person. He was executive also and he was judiciary also. So that was continued, and after that in 1970, I'm talking about this before independence. Okay, so after in 1973 that came into this thing came into 1772. Okay, in 1973 the Indian Parliament enacted criminal procedure code. Okay, Indian Parliament enacted criminal procedure code. Okay, and this code removed the power of district collector as judiciary. It was removed and it appointed separate district judge for the judiciary and separate institution for the revenue collection. Then so revenue collection will be done by the district collector and a separate judge will be there, that will be your district judge. Okay, no, now the district collector will not act as executive also, judiciary also. Through this 1973 bill that was through the criminal procedure code that was enacted by the Indian Parliament. Now this role was divided executive, the collection of tax will be done by the district collector, and the judiciary role, the magistrate role, will be done by the district judge. Okay, separate institution will be there for these two different roles. So India follow a parliamentary form of cabinet in the parliamentary form of government, where like India have a parliamentary form of government, where cabinet is supreme. Cabinet, like the ministers who are ruling there, cabinet ministers, is supreme, where cabinet is supreme. Okay, and this cabinet is drawn from the legislatures. These are drawn from the legislature also. So we are also following the doctrine of checks and balances. Okay, how? See, PM plus council of ministers, PM and council of ministers, they can also be removed if they are failed to prove their majority. If they failed to prove their majority, failed for majority, then they have to resign. This whole ministerial post will be resigned. PM has to resign. So what? So legislature is also checking, as like in India, separation of power there between legislature and executive. No separation of power is there, but they can check. How they can check? By I'm forgetting one term. They used to they used to give like on the floor test. Yes, that called as a floor test. On the floor test, the ruling government party has to prove their majority. Floor test used to happen. Okay, that you prove your majority, then you will be able to rule. Otherwise, election will be there, and all the council of minister will be dissolved, cabinet will be dissolved, and the prime minister has to resign. Okay, so legislature is also checking on the executive through debate, no confidence motion. So they are checking through how they are checking. The legislature is checking executive through debate, and through no confidence motion also. No confidence motion, and there are other aspects. Okay, and now judiciary can also check both legislative and executive. Judiciary, and we also know judiciary has the right. They also check both executive. Oh, it is hanged. Okay, so judiciary can also check both legislative and executive. Okay, so they are executive also, so they are also kept on check, and members of judiciary. Now how judiciary is being kept on checked? Now judiciary is also being kept on check. Like the members of judiciary are also appointed by the president. Okay, we have seen, sorry for this glitch, this network issue is there. Okay, so now we have seen that legislature is checking the executive. Okay, judiciary can check both legislative and executive. And now how judiciary are being checked? Judiciary, like judges are being appointed for the judiciary, are being appointed by the president only. They are being appointed by the president. Okay, and they are also appointed and removed. They are appointed and removed by the president under the resolution passed by the legislature. Like while removal they can also be done by the resolution passed by the legislature. Okay, so drawback. So PM plus council of ministers, if great. Now what is the drawback is here? So let us suppose like the current ruling party, when the BJP is there, so they have the major say in the majority was there in the parliament. Okay, so if there is a great majority, that PM plus council of ministers, and there is a great majority in the parliament, so bill can be passed without intervening of the legislature, debate and discussion. That is one of the drawback under this scenario, if the ruling party is in very high majority. Okay, so India is the only country in the world where judges are appointed by themselves. Okay, and doctrine of checks and balances has been weakened in India. So how the judges are being appointed by themselves? we are seeing it here like president is appointing the judges and they have the right to remove the judges. No, actually there is another scenario also. Mm, like judges are being appointed by themselves. So judiciary is kept under check by legislature and executive, but today India, this system is called, that's why under the news also always used to become, this is called for the judges, it is called as a collegium system. It is mainly for, it is only for the India where judges are being appointed by themselves. Collegium system, what happens under this, uh, consisting of chief justice of India in collegium system, chief justice of India comprise four senior judges of Supreme Court. Okay, they their recommendation while appointment, while removal, resolution have to be passed by the legislature, but while appointment of the judges of the Supreme Court, uh, so they recommend President of India for the appointment of the judge of Supreme Court. Okay, and President has no other option to appoint to option to accept it. President has to accept it. President has no other option. So thus, removal of judges of High Court and Supreme Court is is come under the hand of legislature, and this appointment is uh, done through the Chief Justice of India by they give among with the four senior judges, they give the recommendation to the president, and then this happened. Till now, removal of one second, removal of judges of Supreme Court and High Court is so difficult, very very high majority is required, that we will discuss later, is so difficult that till now no any judges have been removed from their offices. Okay, this thing hasn't happened yet. Okay, so this was all about in this lecture, then we'll continue for the preamble. Okay, thank you.